What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest of cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on? And Chris Abacon.
What's going on, everybody?
What's going on? Daniel Acevedo.
How's it going, guys?
Yeah, we've got the full team. So please continue to tune in throughout the week. So Monday, Tuesday are topics, Wednesday discussion, Thursdays Ask a CISSP, and then Fridays everything else, movies, books, games, all that good stuff. Help us to get to 500 subs by the end of the month, hopefully, and then 1,000 by the end of the year. With that out of the way, just please like, share, subscribe. Without further ado, I'll give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. So this article comes from Dark Reading, written by the Dark Reading staff. Which I think all the ones we've had from Dark Reading, it just says Dark Reading staff is who wrote the article, right? Which is a good thing. It's a team effort, right? But the title of this one is "Feds Uncover Sprawling GenAI-Enabled Russian Troll Farm," right? So this is not anything new when it comes to Russia and how they go about doing business, right? But except the way they're going about doing it now is with AI enhanced software, right? So we've already gone into this before about, Russia spreading disinformation and putting bots out there on social media sites. Well, it's getting a lot easier for them to do, right? And this is where I think the discussion comes in, right? So like we talk about the benefits of AI, right? Like what is it good for? Let's look at the good uses for it. And we've always talked about there's the other side of the coin, and here's where it is, right? And I feel a little bit differently when it comes to disinformation, right? Because disinformation, I realize it is a thing, but it's all in what you choose to take from it, right? People talk about, if someone's putting disinformation out there, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, isn't it your responsibility to go about and make sure that what you're reading is actually correct or it's properly, I don't want to say vetted, but it's actually real information, right? Like people just take it as if someone puts disinformation out there, Russia, China, North Korea, whomever, that's bad in itself, and that's who we should be going after. Like, no, how do we better educate people to find better sources? You know what I mean? Like if you're only relying on social media for your news, right? Like that could be a problem. I'm not saying it's totally bad, right? But like if you're just relying on your social media friends or whomever to be like, hey, I saw this and this is what it is, and you just take that as the gospel, this is where the problems come in, right? But neither here nor there, right? So Russia is using AI to its advantage, right? So U.S. agencies, right, including the FBI and the Cyber National Mission Force, which I had never even heard of until this. Like if we had covered that before, I don't remember it, but Cyber National Mission Force, CNMF, alongside agencies in Canada, the Netherlands, right? So international again, right? We're getting better at doing this when it comes to doing these joint type of like missions and things like that. They released a joint advisory, and this advisory is 14 pages long, a lot of stuff in there, but they go into a lot of detail about how Russia's they have this Gen AI enhanced software that created a bot farm, right? And so it's just out there putting all this information out there for people to, take with it what they will, because again, right, you should do your homework, right? Verify with different sources. I know for me personally, whenever I see something, I try to find different sources for it, right? Like you always have a lean, that's far each way, right? And then you try to find something in the middle. Like I try to do that myself to try to see where the truth lies. But it's just making it so much easier, right? So now the Russians, I mean, it's not like they're not losing people in battle over there in Ukraine, right? So they could do with the AI helping them out with using less people, and using the software to put the disinformation out there. But again, this is the flip side of the coin, right? For all the good that AI can do, this is what you get from it is the bad side here, where this type of information gets out there. So Russia's out there. They're not stopping anytime soon, right? Like it's only a matter of time before you see the same thing happening with China and North Korea. You know what I'm saying? But Daniel, what's your thoughts on this?
No, yeah, you hit a lot of good points on this, but I think, as you alluded to, I think the big thing that comes out of this is the capability that AI gives this type of attack, or that is focused on social engineering in itself, right? The names keep coming this week. The software used is called the Meliorator software. It sounds like a name out of House of Dragons right there, Sir Meliorator. I can't even pronounce it correctly, but yeah, I think the real meat and potatoes of this though is It's an AI enhanced software package that gives the user the ability to create, realistic online personas in mass. So they're able to use this software to, and then if you read the advisory, it's kind of crazy. It goes into souls and then the thoughts tab. So you have essentially an administrator GUI, and the souls are the bots that are determined based on selection of specific parameters or archetypes selected by whoever's running the software, right? And then the thought tabs contains automated scenarios or actions which can be completed on behalf of the souls. So instead of one person having to code and create scripts or something like that to then create different personas through this software, there's a clean GUI, and then you can just pop out hundreds and hundreds of real like persons to then do these scenarios, whatever you want it to be for misinformation. I kind of agree with you, Shannon. Like I try to like in my own personal life, and I think in this day and age, 2024, you kind of have to vet your sources to kind of figure out what information is actually being fed to you for whatever you're trying to look for. But I think when you have things like this, though, I think the amount of information that gets delivered to the masses right now, it's almost like overwhelming in a sense. So I could see how, from a general user's perspective, it can be tiresome to have to kind of like weed through everything, especially if you start seeing things pop up multiple places, especially driven from these kind of bot farms with a narrative. It's hard to kind of be like, oh, maybe this is right. I'm seeing it in X. I'm seeing it on, Facebook or Instagram or all these other places, and the same type of narrative is being driven out. Obviously, it's being driven out because the tool is doing that. That you start thinking that it must be true, but who's to say, how to combat that in everybody day-to-day's life without proper tools yourself to kind of weed through these kind of things that are being thrown at you. But those are kind of my thoughts. Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, so really what stood out to me was, like you were saying, the souls and thoughts tab. So to me, they are really pre-planned responses, pre-planned people, right? Souls as in, hey, what kind of person would be talking about this specific political topic? Or hey, what kind of adversarial left, like I want a left-wing troll and a right-wing troll and somebody a troll from this country or that country, right? So the fact that they've gone through the notions and utilizing Gen AI to they probably gathered information from the internet, open source, from every troll out there, right, into their thoughts tab. I think it's honestly very, very, very elaborate and very dangerous, right? Which really highlights the importance of getting information from multiple sources. Right before I read this article on Reddit, right, somebody had shared something from last year, right? It was just some innocent type clip, right? But I noticed there was one comment that was highly upvoted. The first comment up there was, hey, this is the same highly upvoted comment from the last year's post. Go away, troll. Right? So there's people within forums kind of regulating, hey, I know this is a troll from X, whatever, right? So it's just really interesting to see people are calling out trolls on these forums. Luckily, not luckily, but ironically, not on Facebook, right? Where I feel like there's the most troll action. And on X, people don't do that. But on Reddit, it was really interesting that people do get called out. Really, also, it depends. I would imagine that these social media companies are implementing some type of troll detection, utilizing Gen AI or utilizing some type of AI capability, right? I would imagine that would be a thing. Really, it's going to, get to the point where social media is going to have some type of identification and verification, kind of like on LinkedIn, where you can see, hey, this is an actual person. We verified them through a government ID, but that makes it hard to troll, right? Because, hey, your actual personality or your actual, persona is tied to it, right? Which is really kind of going off topic, the difference between LinkedIn and Facebook, right? You got LinkedIn, everybody's happy-go-lucky, that's generally positive, and Facebook, you got the trolls. But anyway, beside the point, I had another thought as well, as Shannon was talking about different data sources or different sources of news. This specific article, it's called Russia Today, right? Russia Today's a mail order software package. But Russia Today, if you guys don't know, is a Russian TV channel, right? So It's also a point of propaganda for that country. But also importantly, one way you can also diversify your world news perspective is you can follow different news organizations from different countries, right? So you can
So
follow DW from Germany, you can follow
the
Al Jazeera
BBCs,
English.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you can follow BBC. You can follow there's some Indian outlets, some Asian outlets, right? And you'll really find how different they report the same thing, right, from their specific biases. Again, a lot of us don't have time for that, but it's really interesting if when you do that, like, hey, look, India is totally reporting this totally differently than the way the UK is, right? And given their history, I get it, right? But it's also very important to diversify your news sources as well, not just left and right from the United States, but hey, you can go by country in different state outlets from that standpoint as well. So yeah, Shannon, did you have something?
So yeah, it's been it's been my experience though. When you go to the foreign ones, it is more just reporting the news. Like you see more of the slants in the U.S. media. Like UK, I see that's left slanting, I see that's right slanting. Very few moderates and in the middles, right? But like when you go to the BBC, and the BBC every once in a while will put one out there, you're just like, oh yeah, I see the slant in that one. But for the most part, it is just reporting the facts. Has been my experience, right? And again, I get it, right? Like when it comes to India, right? Like they up until the 40s, right? They were under was the 40s. They were under British oppression. I'm trying to remember what it was for India, but it was something like that, right? Like it was fairly recent history, right? So I get it. Like if they're reporting something about the UK, they may have a little bit of a tint, right? Like it's only been like
Exactly.
80. It's only been 80 years, right? They're not quite over it. You know what I'm saying? So I get that, but no, it's been my experience that the foreign media has been a little better about just reporting facts. You know what I mean? That's harder to find here in the U.S.
But yeah, those are my thoughts. What do you think, Ryan?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. Thing number one, like, share, subscribe. Thank you very much. Thing number two, so RT got me when I was in Germany. So when I was living in where was I at in Germany? Stuttgart. So when I lived in Stuttgart, I used to watch RT all the time, and I was like, man, that's a really good news source. Like they had articles on, they had opinion pieces on blacks in the South, black fathers, black women starting businesses and things of that nature. I was like, man, this is a really good. It was all American newscasters and all that other good stuff. But every now and then they would have like a wild article to me anyway about how U.S. is agitating China for no reason, and how the Russia's trying to do something to aid. I forget what Middle Eastern country, and the U.S.
Trying to
continues to.
aid Crimea, right, in the Ukraine. That's what they tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, "What is going on here?" And then I found out that the R stands for Russia, and I was like, "They got me."
Got him.
But that's what you do, right? You take somebody who's typically sees the media as disenfranchised, right? You normally don't see positive articles, and you trying to pull me in, which they did, and then you try to drip feed them, your bias, which was heavily Russia and China, because they're buddy, and yeah, it really worked. I was really into the propaganda for a little bit until I figured out what the R stood for, and I was like, man, you got me. That was pretty good. That's good psyops right there. But yeah, I kind of agree with Chris. I think they're going to do some kind of verification in the future, because people are going to say, "Oh, it's against my freedom of speech and yada yada yada." Those social media platforms not built around your freedom of speech; they're built around selling your data, right? And if you're disruptive, then they can boot you off because it's not your platform; it's their platform. So your freedom of speech rights do not extend through somebody's private business. And I think that's what's eventually going to happen is you're going to have to do like a ID and me, a verify through government ID and things of that nature to combat this, because it's only going to get worse. You can see sometimes when there's a false information on X, it'll actually tell you like this is misinformation, or this is how this snippet was actually taken from from this place or that place, but it's few and far between. You see it on Facebook every now and then as well, where they'll try to shed light on the disinformation, but it's not good enough. Before, like, you have to find somebody who can vet it and then do something with it, and it's not necessarily an automated process. At least that's my understanding. But what could be an automated process is to actually verify it's a human being, and then they can still spread disinformation, but at least it's not tens of thousands of fake people spreading this information. And then thing number three, I'm kind of proud of this. We've had so many episodes that we're starting to forget stuff that we talked about. So A is showing our age, but B, it's so it was called "Who is Cybercom's Elite Cyber National Mission Force?" Brian and Shannon discuss how the U.S. Cyber Command deployed
US Cyber
Cyber
Command.
National
cyber
Forces.
specialists to more than a dozen countries last year.
Got him.
I do not remember. I was like, and I put that in there. I was like, maybe we did discuss it, and I just don't remember. But it did not look familiar to me when I was reading it. So yeah.
Now, I'm not trying to call you. I'm just trying to say that's how many episodes.
So you know what that means to me? That Cybercom needs to do a better job of branding. Right. Hey, I don't remember this. This is too generic. I thought it was a Canadian organization for
There you go.
Pete's
You know
sake.
where they can do that? They can do that right through this podcast.
Exactly.
Hit me up. And I will send you my media package, my media kit. Yeah.
So Chris, I want to hit on something that you were saying though. So when you were talking about getting rid of the bots and whatnot, I don't know if you guys remember this, but remember when Elon tried to back out of the sale for Twitter at the time, right? And it was X. That was one of the things he brought up was like, hey, you're telling me we have this many accounts on there, but I know there are bots. Like he was trying to get the price brought down because remember he was like, I'll buy it for this much or whatever. They called his bluff and he was like, whoa, maybe not that much. Like you don't really have as many real people on your platform as you say you do. And that was one of the things he was trying to combat was all the bots. You know what I mean? So like it's not like this is anything new to where we don't know this type of stuff is out there. Elon was going after this 2 years ago or whenever it was that he was kind of forced.
He probably wants the bots now. He's like, please come back.
Yeah.
Please make more accounts on here.
I need more money. I'm losing money hand over foot. But no, it's not like this is a new phenomenon or anything like this. And I don't know if you guys ever watched I want to say it was Netflix. They had this Ashley Madison documentary.
I did see that one, yeah.
So remember they were talking about how they were making up accounts and whatnot to try to attract people? Like it's kind of along the same lines. Like they were just putting fake accounts out there and people will start to figure it out because they were like, I'm getting like 3-word answers from this person. You know what I mean? It's just like, how are you? You know what I mean? Hi, I like you. It was like simple stuff like that. And they started to figure it out that it was pretty much bots. Like the people at the company were just creating fake accounts. And then it was just
that's how easily you could figure out if like people like not to shame people who get caught up in this fake social media and things of that nature, but if a person with a really attractive photo sends you a message saying hi, click said photo, and they have 4 friends, they're probably not a real person. All right, it's probably 4 of your friends because you're all dumb. There, I said it. People like to, the opposite is people like to argue with things regardless if they're real or not, right? So there's a lot of trolls on these forums that are not real people. If you were to click through their profile, you'd be like, hey, the only thing all they do is troll, and they don't have any friends. But it could be a real person. That is an MO of a real person, or they could be a fake. I don't know. Like, I think with the birth of mass media Gen AI and how it's being adopted, there will be parameters and things of that nature to try to stem it and try to have it figure out itself, right? So it can identify like this signature is me. So this is obviously not a real person. But at the end of the day, we're going to have to just chip people, give them IP addresses. IPv8.
You need non-repudiation on everybody and everything on the internet.
I know. Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We all gonna have CACs now. Everybody.
Exactly.
Right.
Accountability, baby. Everybody's going to be held accountable. Who knows? We'll see what happens. And I think for that to happen, there's going to be something even more grave is going to happen. You know, I don't know. God forbid.
What if they just, instead of getting you a social security card, like it was a token, right? Like a common access card. Everybody gets it at birth.
People will lose.
Make sure you hold on to those. Make sure you hold on to them.
So much.
Yeah.
So
People don't lose social security cards. I don't think. I still have mine from when I was born.
I was thinking, it's got a card, and it's also already got your pre-planned identity on Facebook.
Right. Exactly.
So people lose their social security cards because they keep them in their wallets. You know what I mean? Yeah. People lose their wallets more often.
That thing's made of that thing's paper. It's made out of toilet paper. Like, why would you keep your social security card on you?
I still have mine. It's tattered, but I still have my original social security card.
Man.
So I don't know, but I digress. So please continue to tune in, like, share, subscribe, get us to 500 subs, hopefully by the end of the month, 1,000 by the end of the year. Monday and Tuesday are topics, Wednesday discussion, Thursdays, Ask a CISSP. Fridays, everything else, movies, books, games, all that good stuff. And then we have a weekly newsletter called The Rundown, over 1,400 subs. Please check that out as well. Yeah, it pretty much covers it. Hit us up on all the social medias. Go by our name, The Other Side of the Firewall, The Other Side of the FW. Ask at CISSP. Hit me up at RyRy Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy, pretty much on every social media platform you can think of, unfortunately. And then you can find Chris and Daniel by their full names on LinkedIn, where they've been verified. They're real people. All right. Stay safe, stay secure.